Hi everyone, welcome to Grow Roots. Yesterday, I went into my side garden and I noticed something disastrous. Yes, this is what is left of my what used to be an 8-foot tall, 4-foot wide Alice Oakleaf Hydrangea. I have been growing it for several years now. It was this last spring absolutely glorious, 8 feet tall, 4 feet wide, full of blooms. And this is my kitchen window where I do the dishes and all of the things. So I have enjoyed this Oakleaf Hydrangea all season long with all of the blooms and just how beautiful this plant is. And I was also really looking forward to fall and seeing all of the leaves on that Oakleaf Hydrangea change. However, went into this side garden yesterday and noticed that 80% of it is broken on the ground. I will show you in just a moment. But our AC unit gave out and stopped working 2 days ago. It's been about 48 hours now. And we called our AC company. The repair tech came out and we were so happy to see him. I was so happy to see him. He did a repair. He came back in, gave him some water, paid him a pretty good chunk of money. As those of you who have HVAC units know, here in Texas, like these things go out a lot because they get used a lot and they are not cheap, y'all. It's a good amount of money every time something breaks. So paid him, he went off on his way, and then he contacted me yesterday, about 24 hours later. He had left his tools here and he asked me to go and get his tools and put them inside in a safe place until he could get there. And as I was coming out here, I don't normally come out here every day. It's kind of my side yard. It's just not a place that I go every day. I noticed that 80% of this Oakleaf Hydrangea is completely damaged. So let me show you. So here it is. This is actually this part of the plant that is laying down over here. This was the 8-foot tall portion. It is more than half of the plant. And here is where it's all completely broken. This branch is completely snapped off. There's another branch completely snapped off. There's another branch right here that's snapped. And I think that one down there. Yeah. And then there's also this one. That's completely gone. Like I didn't even do that. So, and then that is just completely smashed. This is pretty smashed. And he did not say a word when he came in, that this damage had occurred. And I confronted him yesterday about that. And he said, "Oh yes, I'm so sorry. I tripped and I fell on top of it. And I didn't realize it was a plant that was valuable." And I let him know, I understand accidents happen, things happen, and I'm so sorry he fell. He wasn't hurt, but, I said, if you had told me about it right away, I could have maybe propped this up and, some of it's just completely destroyed. We can't like put 2 broken branches back together, right? But I could have saved maybe some of it. But now it's been sitting out in the 100-degree heat, 102 all day long, and you never said anything. I would, obviously I would have seen it eventually, but like I'm noticing it 24 hours later, and there's probably just not saving this, like you can see all of the crispy already in this, and it's not gonna survive. I do have about 20% of the plant that is still standing, but in 100-degree extreme heat, 105, that's extreme stress already on a plant. Oakleaf hydrangeas are pretty tough, don't get me wrong, but when 80% of the plant then is taken away, and now this part that was normally not even exposed to sun is exposed to sun, this is just going to be very extreme stress on this Oakleaf hydrangea. So today I am going to talk to you about what my plan is moving forward, and I am going to talk to you about how to save any plant in your garden that might be under like extreme stress and you think that it might die. Here in the dog days of summer in Texas, I know that's something that a lot of you want to know. A lot of us have those plants that are just kind of on their way out. And this is going to be one of them potentially. So I will let you know the things that I'm going to do to try to save what is left over, and what I will do moving forward in regards to the AC repair tech and his company. So the very first thing that I think about when we are in extreme heat and I see that a plant is going downhill, it's going to be water. This area is kind of on the dry side. We do have drip irrigation, but that makes it a little bit dry because it just runs once a day for about 20 minutes and like might need some additional water anyway. So last night, I got a 5-gallon bucket and I slowly poured it all over the root ball of my Oakleaf Hydrangea. What I'm going to do tonight is also super recommended. I'm going to try to put a really slow drip on this hose. If you have a soaker hose, that would work as well. Just some type of slow drip. And I'm going to leave it on the plant all night long. I'm going to let it soak, and let that root ball just get all of the water that it needs. So that's number one, to make sure it's not getting, stressed out. The roots, have all of the water that they need. The second thing that I think about is I'm going to mulch it heavily. We already have a pretty good layer of mulch. Back here in this side yard, it's pretty well mulched, but I do have more, so I will put that around the root ball. That mulch will help keep the moisture in. It will help also like the sun beating down and penetrating on those roots. It leaves like a layer of insulation for those roots, because right now that's what I need to survive. If those roots can survive, then we'll be okay next season. This brings me in another tangent, but even though I think I might be able to save this plant, I'm still pretty upset. It took years to grow this hydrangea to this size. It took years to see the blooms that I saw this year, right all the way up on my kitchen window. And I was telling my husband all spring, like, I love this so much. These blooms are so beautiful, and I get to enjoy them every time I clean the kitchen, every time I do the dishes. It's just, it was such a great placement. It was such a great plant. I enjoyed it so much. It's going to take years now to help. If the plant survives, it will take years for it to get back to its original glory. Okay, so yeah, that's a setback. That's a big thing. I can't just go and buy an 8-foot by 4-foot Oakleaf hydrangea. You just can't. It takes years to grow them that way. So the biggest hydrangea that I found, Oakleaf hydrangea that I found one at a local tree farm, fairly local. It's about an hour away. But it was about $200 for a 15-gallon. And that 15-gallon was estimated to be about 4 to 5 feet tall, the Oakleaf hydrangea. So, I mean, that is an option, but that's a very large expense. And I have contacted the company. I let the AC repair tech know that I would be contacting the owner of the company, and I would be asking for some type of plant replacement or compensation for, I mean, this was a very large plant that he pretty much destroyed. And like I said, $200, that doesn't count shipping. If I was going to ship it, it's an hour away, an hour to my house. That also doesn't count installation. Like, am I supposed to do this out of your error? I do believe that the company deserves or needs to compensate when they damage somebody's property, especially when they don't tell them that they damaged their property. So I did contact the company. Of course, I am waiting to hear back from the owner, but there's that. But anyway, it'll take years to get back to its original glory if this one survives. So water, deep water, soaker hose, or soak this, overnight. Maybe not every night, but maybe every other night, soak this with a very slow drip, mulch. And then I did some research. I could put some shade cloth up. Unfortunately, if you can see back here, I just don't have any kind of structure. I might be able to hang it like off of my wall. I don't want to put any holes in that cement siding and then make that shade go like this. I don't have any super tall poles to attach the shade cloth to. I looked, and I could probably do very large 9-foot tall, because this plant that's here is 7 feet tall. I need something 9 feet tall if I was going to have an umbrella of shade over it. But those are expensive too. It's like, am I gonna spend hundreds of dollars to try to save this plant, or am I gonna spend a couple $100s on a new plant? To me, that's what makes more sense, is to, if I'm gonna spend any money out of pocket for his mistake, it's going to be replacing the plant rather than trying to save something and then have it die anyway. So, but I am gonna tell you guys, if it wasn't like somebody else's mistake, you know, if it's your mistake and you're trying to fix it, or if the plant's just going downhill, shade cloth would definitely be a valid option. But again, you need something for that shade cloth to hang on. And my husband's in Mexico, he's on business. Like, that's just not feasible for me to build something around this plant right now. And it seems to me that whatever I buy is just gonna be like another expense out of my pocket that I don't have, especially since I just paid a lot of money for an AC bill. So, and one more thing that I would suggest would be now don't put normal fertilizer down, but there are special fertilizers that specialize in restoring plants when they are starting to go downhill. And the first one is called Super Thrive. And I have used it before and it does a very good job. It is a special fertilizer that is supposed to restore the vital nutrients to the roots of a plant that is in extreme stress. And so it kind of replaces all of those nutrients that it's been lacking, and it's not stimulating it to grow, because you do not want that when you are having a plant that is in extreme stress and almost, you know, almost kicking the bucket. You don't want to stimulate growth, because that's really just going to stress the plant out even more and it's going to die. But something like Super Thrive will actually restore what the plant needs. It's great also for transplanting plants in this heat. It helps it to it helps the roots and it keeps it from going into transplant shock. So that's another great use for Super Thrive. You can find it on Amazon. A lot of times you can find it in Home Depot, Lowe's, big box stores, garden centers, all of those things. Super Thrive is one of them. And so I definitely would recommend that. Again, I really thought about purchasing it because I don't have it right now, but it's $30 to buy one of those. And again, like, I'm just trying to think, am I going to spend a lot of money trying to save this, or am I going to try to, you know, put that money into something new? So that's my thought process right now. And I'm waiting to see if I'm going to be compensated for a new plant as well, which, you know, I'm not counting on it, but I do think that's what's right. I do think that's what's just. When you damage somebody else's property, and especially when you do not tell them about it, like, you owe them what you damaged, right? So I'm waiting to see. But anyway, I also wanted to mention one more thing. In my case, I've got to prune off all of the, you know, broken and semi-broken branches. I've just got to kind of, you know, prune everything except for the part that is standing right over there. In your case, if you have, you know, a plant that's not broken over like mine, don't prune, okay? Do not prune off the dead. The dead leaves in particular are helping to shade the roots. They are helping to shade the stems, the branches, and everything else from that hot, hot sun. And so I do not recommend pruning back at this time of the dog days of summer. I have to in this case because I just need to remove the dead. And it's laying on the ground, and it's laying on actual pink Turk's cap. So I need to rescue the Turk's cap because it's got this huge thing on top of it. So I am going to be pruning this and taking that out. And taking all of the dead branches out, but I do not recommend that you prune a plant unless you absolutely have to. But don't remove the dead, leave the dead leaves on. It's just gonna look ugly for a little while, okay? But you wanna focus on the health of those roots and keeping everything all shaded, which those dead leaves and things will help to shade those roots. But I wanted to show you, just in case you were curious, for those of you who wanted to know what it looked like after I pruned everything, here it is. So there were quite a few cuts that I had to make. Ooh, this one's a little bit, but I think that one will be okay. There was that big branch. There was a big branch here. This one was the massive one. This one got broken, and this was like a lot of the plant. This was the part of the plant that was 8 feet tall, all those things. This was a good a chunk of this plant. And then this one was another pretty big one too. And here is one thing I did discover. I think this branch is rooted under there. I put a rock on top of it, and then here's my soaker hose, guys. See how it's dripping? And I'm just moving it all around the root ball for now until I go to bed. But this branch grew into the soil, got covered up with soil. I didn't realize it had done that. It might have rooted itself into a brand new plant. So that actually might be to my benefit, because if this has its own roots, then this will definitely survive. This will be no problem. I'll start with a teeny tiny little Alice Oakleaf, right? But that's okay. I may have a rooted baby, so that would be lovely. Oh yeah, I think I forgot to show you this part that I had to prune off as well. So with that said, here's all here are all the pieces that I had to take off. So again, over half of this plant, for sure. It's so sad, but it just wasn't going to survive in this kind of heat with broken branches that were more than 50% broken off. Some of them were broken off completely, so they had to go. So there it is. I hope this video helped if you have plants that are in extreme stress right now and they're just about to, you think they're not gonna make it. I hope those are helpful tips. Water, mulch, soaker hose, like slow, deep watering, and then mulch, and then shade cloth to help them through this extreme heat. And then also something like Super Thrive to help restore those nutrients and get those roots going, and keep those roots going like the plant needs in order to restore itself. So I thank you all so much for watching. Subscribe to my channel if you like what you saw today. I am so close to 5,000 subscribers, so please help a girl out and hit that subscribe button for me. I have lots of garden tours and gardening videos that you can check out, and I just appreciate each and every one of you who are watching, and I hope that all of you have a beautiful day. Bye-bye, everybody.